Okay, so the lighting is not ideal, but I did want to talk to you for a few minutes about these digital ephemera tags that are going to be going up on my Etsy shop. And what they are digital collages that I've created with images that I've gotten from Wikimedia Commons, which means that they are public domain. And I think I got one or two from the Graphics Fairy too, which I can't believe I just discovered the Graphics Fairy, because that is awesome. I think I'm going to be signing up for their premium membership there, because I just can't believe the wealth of material that's there. But anyways, as a lot of you probably don't realize that, but the reason that I'm the Artful Geek Girl is because other than on the weekends I do my art, on the weekends and after work I do my art, but my job is I own a business providing online technology services, and part of that is creating graphics and working with websites and all of that stuff. So I work with Photoshop quite a bit, and so in my art I kind of like to play around with Photoshop too, because it's, you know, something that I'm used to doing. So these are just collages, digital collages that I've created, or digital stamping if you want to say, and they are all themed in kind of a Halloween-y theme. I call it Witches and Wizards because I do it to go in my Wizardori journals, but I decided that I saw someone create some tickets, some digital tickets that fit the Tim Holtz new ticket booth dies, and I'm like, I bet I could create some small tags that would fit the Tim Holtz small tag die that came with the Sidekick that I bought right after Christmas this year. So I'm like, I guarantee I could do that, and how awesome and neat and easy would that be to be able to cut your tags. Now, if you don't have the Sidekick or this little tag die, you can definitely cut these out by hand. They're easy enough to cut out by hand. You can just punch the hole out with a paper punch, with a regular paper punch. But if you happen to be like me and have this little tag die or another one the same size, these sheets, the PDF sheets with the collage tags on them, these are sized exactly for that die. So what I do is I cut them apart so that they are cut small enough to go through the Sidekick. As you can see, I've cut them down so that they can go through that little slot. And then I line them up as good as I possibly can. I usually use the hole to go by to kind of tell me whether I'm in the right position or not. And then I run it through. Now, sometimes I come out with white edges, and I'll show you what I do. As long as it's not a huge white edge and terribly off center, which normally you wouldn't happen if you line up that dot, you can fix that with a little bit of ink. So don't worry about that, but they do come out fantastic. I've got a ring of them here, of some of them that I did yesterday, and as you can see, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool looking. So this is what this new option is going to be in the Etsy shop, just in time for you to create your Halloween stuff. I know. Like I said, I use them for my Wizardories because that's kind of the theme, is the whole witches and wizards, so it's kind of got all of this stuff going on. But it is also perfect for Halloween stuff, or if you just happen to have a thing for skulls and kind of slightly macabre and different stuff. Like there's this sanitarium one. This advertisement, this Dr. Gibbons Sanitarium, I actually got that ad out of a 1911 Life magazine that I happened to find at a yard sale. So that was kind of fun. But anyways, that is what's going on with these. So they are small tags, and if you have the die, it's double the fun. Okay, so I've run the collage tags through the Tim Holtz Sidekick, and I didn't do it on camera because, number one, I can't find my tripod, and I've told you before that I have a horrible setup here anyways, and my little helpers are not in the house right now, so I didn't have any help there. So I ran them through, and as you can see, most of them came out pretty perfectly. I mean, they cut, like, they are sized really well, but this one has a little bit of white here. This one has a little bit of white going all the way, well, just from part way down, so it was off center a little bit, and this one too. And that's normal. I mean, they are exactly sized for that die, but you know, we're all human. But this is the cool thing. You see my ink, my distress ink, and my little sponge applicators. This is where the magic happens. And again, I'm going to put this down and make the magic happen and then come back. But what I'm going to do is on these three here, I'm going to ink the edges and as you can see, it is Tim Holtz distress ink, but it's actually archival ink. It's not his regular distress ink. This is an archival permanent mixed media ink palette. I like that because then if I decide to add some sort of wet media on top of this, then it's not going to go anywhere. It's permanent. So I bought this ink palette quite a while ago with a coupon at Michael's, and then just recently I bought re-inkers for it because this is what I use to do the edges of all of my Wizardories and everything. I mean, that way if they get wet, that antiquing or that edging is not going to go anywhere. So anyways, I'm going to shut off the camera for a few minutes. I'm going to do those edges, and then I'm going to come back and show you how perfectly that does the job, and so you don't have to worry about getting, you know, being absolutely perfect every time you run one of these through that die, if you have the die. So I'm back. I've done my little magic with the ink pads and the distressing, and as you can see, if you look at these, here are the three, this one, and this one, and this one. Those were the ones that had the edge problems, and these ones did not. And as you can see, you can't tell the difference. If I didn't point them out to you, you wouldn't be able to tell that the white had shown. So just doing that on the edge, just any of it that's just a little bit off. Now, if it was off a lot, then it would look skewed, and you'd probably want to cut it again. But honestly, as long as you line up the middle hole with that die, if you have the die, it's not gonna be off enough so that you can't disguise it with a little bit of ink on the edges. So there they are. There are two sheets. I printed mine out on a 110-pound cardstock that I get from Michael's. I've also printed it out on the ones on the key ring here. I printed off yesterday on Nina Solar White. So these ones are more white on the back, although I age all the back of them. So these are on Nina Solar White that I printed them off on. This was on an ivory cardstock. And they come in, there's a PDF with 2 of these sheets with 7 of the mini tags on each sheet, ready to print out in the correct size that will fit that die. So if you have that die, or you've been wanting to get that die and thought, you know, how much use, I fully intend on making more of these, and they won't all be creepy and witches and wizards, but right now I'm kind of working on my Wizardori albums, and I needed some ephemera, and I kind of like to make my own, and that was the case. Some of this is actually my own artwork. For example, this eye here is actually my own artwork, and then I've combined it with this crystal ball. Oh, and there's Miss Fiona dropping in to say hello. So anyways, there are two pages, and I don't have both pages printed out, but as you saw, that there are you know, some different, these are a little bit different than the ones that I have on the printable. This is like a postal tag, and this is just a ledger, so that's kind of plain. You could use that probably on anything. Like I said, some of my own artwork. So this sorting hat is actually some of my own. It's a digital stamp from my own artwork, so that's there. And then, like I said, some stuff, these are public domain images that I've picked up, and I think this ledger in behind might be, that's public domain too, but there is one of these backgrounds that I got from the Graphics Fairy, which I am really, really excited about discovering the Graphics Fairy. I knew it was there, but I think I found it when I was working on one of my my business jobs, and I wasn't in need of vintage images, and now I'm like, with my junk journaling, I'm like all about vintage images. So I think this postal tag actually might be a Graphics Fairy image. But anyways, there they are. This is going to be in my Etsy shop soon. They're perfect timing for, like I said, for Halloween, and I hope you enjoy them.